Hare Krishna. English movie. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Thira Vachari Yamuna Thira Vachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Gopi Jana Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Thira Vanachari Yamuna Thira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Haribol, 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 Haribol. Jai Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotra Sata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Labhai Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotra Sata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त बंद की जाए। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जाए। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जाए। नवद्वीप श्री मायापुर धाम की जाए। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जाए। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जाए। वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की जाए। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जाए। श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसजेंडर बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जाए। श्री श्री गौनिताय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्र महारानी की जाए। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जाए। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाए। गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna.
The most merciful Lordship Sri Sri Radha Madhav ki.
Hare Krishna. So we are very fortunate today. We have His Grace Vedanta Chaitanya Prabhu with us. So I'll just briefly introduce. You all might be knowing His Grace Vedanta Chaitanya Prabhu, but still it's my pleasure to introduce him. So Vedanta Chaitanya Prabhu hails from a South Indian family. He was born and raised in Srikakulam nearby, and he did his education from AU University, Visakhapatnam. Subsequently, he went to Bangalore for working, where he got introduced to Krishna Consciousness, and he joined the movement there. And after a few years of practice in Bangalore, he was moved to Hyderabad for taking charge of preaching here in 1999. And very soon, Prabhuji became president from 2000 onwards. He has been serving ISKCON Hyderabad, preaching all over in Hyderabad. As a result of that, we can see more than 1,000 congregations in Hyderabad today. So most of the devotees who came to Krishna Consciousness in Hyderabad, Vedanta Chaitanya Prabhu was inspiration. Apart from being preaching in Hyderabad, in 2008, he started preaching in Ongole, where a very beautiful temple is also about to complete. He is part of HTMC, he is a HTMC member. Recently we had a very wonderful Goshala, if you have heard about it, Radha Madan Mohan Goshala in Medpalli. So he preaches Krishna Consciousness, he relishes reading and giving classes. Personally, I have been seeing Vedanta Chaitanya Prabhu from initial days of my Krishna Consciousness, 2005-2006, when I used to come to Radha Madan Mohan Temple. That time Madan Mohan Temple ji was very small. Entrance was from the other side of Nampalli Station Road. So by the efforts of Prabhuji and his team, we have wonderful Sankirtan Bhavan, and now North Gate also coming up. So I have heard his classes, very depth knowledge of Srila Prabhupada's books. So it's very fortunate for us that he has agreed to come to Attapur once in a month. So we would like to welcome His Grace Vedanta Chaitanya Prabhu in our traditional way by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Most of these devotees are, preached by Sitaram Prabhu and his team. Sitaram Prabhu initially started preaching in NIT Surat, and some devotees came up from there. Chaitanya Avatar Prabhu is here. He joined Juhu earlier. Now he is also part of Juhu Brahmachari Ashram Council, and he helps in preaching and managing in Attapur here. We have Sachinandan Hari Prabhu. He is also passed out of NIT Surat. And the core team kept on growing. We have a traveling Sankirtan party. We go out all over India distributing books. So most of the devotees, almost 20-25 are from this team. And other devotees are congregation members of ISKCON Attapur. Thank you very much for giving time. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtapradeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. Today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, entitled Narada's Instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam. Text number 12. Naishkarmyamapyachyuta bhavavarjitam Nasobhate jnanamalam niranjanam Kutah punah sasvada bhadramishvare Nacharpitam karma yadapya karanam Naishkarmyamapyachyuta bhavavarjitam Nasobhate jnanamalam niranjanam Kutah punah sasvada bhadramishvare Nacharpitam karma yadapya karanam Naishkarmyamapyachyuta bhavavarjitam Nashobhate jnanamalam niranjanam Kutah punah shashvada bhadramishvare Nacharpitam karma yadapya karanam Naishkarmyamapyachyuta bhavavarjitam Nashobhate jnanamalam niranjanam Kutah punah shashvada bhadramishvare Nacharpitam karma yadapya karanam Naishkarmyamapyachyuta bhavavarjitam Nashobhate jnanamalam niranjanam Kutah punah shashvada bhadramishvare न चार्पितं कर्म यदप्यकारणम् नैष्कर्म्यमप्यच्युतभाववर्जितम् न शोभते ज्ञानमलं निरञ्जनम् कुतः पुनः शाश्वतभद्रमीश्वरे न चार्पितं कर्म यदप्यकारणम्. Any Matajis? Right. नैष्कर्म्यमप्यच्युतभाववर्जितम् न शोभते ज्ञानमलं निरञ्जनम् कुतः पुनः शाश्वतभद्रमीश्वरे न चार्पितं कर्म यदप्यकारणम् नैष्कर्म्यमप्यच्युतभाववर्जितम् न शोभते ज्ञानमलं निरञ्जनम् कुतः पुनः शाश्वतभद्रमीश्वरे न चार्पितं यद् कर्म यदप्यकारणम्. नैष्कर्म्यम, self-realization, being freed from the reactions of fruity work. Api, in spite of. Achyuta, the infallible Lord. Bhava, conception. Varjitam, devoid of. Na, does not. Shobhate, look well. Jnanam, transcendental knowledge. Alam, by and by. Niranjanam, free from designations. Kutaha, where is. Punaha, again. Shashvat, always. Abhadram, uncongenial. Ishvare, unto the Lord. Na, not. Cha, and. Arpitam, offered. Karma, fruity work. Yat api, what is. Akaranam, not fruity. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material infinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities, which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? Please repeat. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As referred to above, not only ordinary literatures devoid of the transcendental glorification of the Lord are condemned, but also Vedic literatures and speculation on the subject of impersonal Brahman, when they are devoid of devotional service. Jai Shri Shri Gaunithai Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Madhav Ki Jai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai. When speculation on the impersonal Brahman is condemned on the above ground, then what to speak of ordinary fruity work, which is not meant to fulfill the aim of devotional service? Such speculative knowledge and fruity work cannot lead one to the goal of perfection. Fruity work, in which almost all people in general are engaged, is always painful either in the beginning or at the end. It can be fruitful only when made subservient to the devotion service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is confirmed that the result of such fruity work may be offered for the service of the Lord, otherwise it leads to material bondage. The bona fide enjoyer of the fruity work is the personality of Godhead, and thus when it is engaged for the sense gratification of the living beings, it becomes an acute source of trouble. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vansha Kalpatarobhyasya Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. Very happy and pleased to be here amongst all of you, especially when devotees are very enthusiastically dancing in the kirtan. That's a great pleasure to the eyes. That's a pulse of the temple. The pulse of the temple is that when devotees are very happy and they're dancing in the kirtan and rendering nice service. I heard a lot about all this, all of you, the team members of Sitaram Prabhu and other devotees, that you have been going out and doing book distribution and inspiring many people to become Krishna conscious. It's my great good fortune to be with all of you here today. On the request of Sitaram Prabhu, I have come here to give the class. He has requested me to come frequently, regularly. So, from Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a very wonderful conversation between Vyasa and Narada. Vyasadeva has written all literature, including every class of people, to give them the right goal, that is to quit this material world and go back to Godhead. In spite of all of that, he was not very satisfied at heart. Some dissatisfaction was there. Please forgive me, I cannot speak fluently in Hindi. हिंदी में मैं अच्छी तरह बात नहीं कर सकता हूं, तो इसलिए हिंदी में नहीं बोल पा रहा हूं. आप कृपया मेरे को क्षमा कीजिए. So I am comfortable in English and in Telugu, but Telugu I don't think many people understand here. So, all right. So, so this conversation is one of the most important conversation in Srimad Bhagavatam, because it establishes the sun-like position of Srimad Bhagavatam amongst all the Vedic literature. Why Srimad Bhagavatam is so uniquely important and special is that it continuously glorifies the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His activities and His dealings with His devotees. Unlike the other portions of the Vedas, which describe about the fruitive activities and cryptic description of the absolute truth in the form of impersonal Brahman. So, because he has not described the glories of the Lord systematically in one book, he was not feeling satisfied. Vyasadeva was not feeling satisfied. Someone who is offering satisfaction of heart to the people through his literature, himself not feeling satisfied. So what would the literature do then? So that is why Narada Muni appeared just at that moment when he was contemplating, what is that I have not done? Have I not worshipped the Lord of the altar? Have I not included all the living entities, including his three Sudras, Dvijabandhus? Have I not worshipped my Guru? So he was contemplating what that he has not done. So in his list, everything is coming, tick, 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 everything he has done. In spite of all of that, he was not feeling satisfied. Then by his own contemplation, he understood that since I have not described the glories of the Lord in an incessant manner, in one complete book, so I am not satisfied. This can be the only reason why I am not satisfied. So then he wanted to confirm that with his spiritual master. Just at that moment, Narada appeared in the Badrikashram. And he looked at him, smiled at him reassuringly, understanding that, I know what you are going through. And then there was this conversation, a brief conversation between them. He has told Vyasa that you are such a great personality, you are born to Parasara, and you have done everything possible for the living entities. And then Vyasa said, yes, what you said is true, but still I am feeling despondent. Then immediately he gave the answer to his despondency. Since you have not described the glories of the Lord, you have only described things in terms of body and mind. All the Vedic literature were described from the point of view of body and mind. In the sense, you gave more importance, knowingly you gave more importance to the body and mind than the transcendental nature of the soul and the Supreme Lord. So that's why you are feeling despondent. So to understand in our language, common man's language, the Vedic literature is full of descriptions of how to increase the status of life from a lower status to a higher status. That means, if you can say, as Prabhupada describes, if one is trying to move from a C-class jail to A-class jail, it is not considered very intelligent. Because in the C-class jail, the facilities are not very great. You may have a common dirty toilet, a barrack full of rogues, and 10 people may be there, 12 people may be there. That's a C-class jail. But one of them felt that, if the facilities are improved in the jail, I will be very happy in the jail. Then he is moved to a first-class jail, whereas he has one separate cot, attached bathroom, a TV, and a newspaper comes, but still he is in the 10 by 10 barrack. He is not considered very intelligent. Most of us are like that. Most of us want Krishna or Krishna consciousness or the Vedic teachings to increase our status of life, better status of life. We want better facilities. We want Krishna not to serve him, but we want Krishna to serve us. That is why we want Krishna. It may be a harsh statement, but that's a harsh truth also. We want Krishna to serve us. I often say this example. You see, you take prasadam. Prasadam is like rice, dal, chapati, sabji, etc. But in the corner there will be a little achar also, pickle. take with a finger and then try to put it on your tongue, just to get some spice to life, spice to eating. So Krishna is like achar for us. He is like a pickle for us. We want grand sense gratification, but for that grand sense gratification, sometimes we touch upon Krishna like this and do like this, to increase the spice of life. What should ideally happen is, our bread and butter or rice dal sabji should be Krishna, and sense gratification should be like achar. And sometimes, even if the achar is not served, still it is okay. Chalta hai na? But if there is no serving of rice, dal, sabji and all, there is no satisfaction. So what we are trying to do, we means, I am not talking about all of you. In general, people in general, what they try to do, they try to adjust a little bit of piety, a little bit of Krishna consciousness in this broad sense gratificatory life. They try to find one little corner for this Krishna consciousness. Whereas a practicing devotee does the opposite. He does his Krishna consciousness, but because of the habit, somewhere around sense gratification is there. He's trying to get rid of it, not able to get rid of because it is very spicy. Add spice to the life. So that's what is many of us. We are either in this category or that category. We can say full-time members are like this category. They are forcibly, they are engaged in devotional service. Of course, they have chosen to, dedicate their life for Krishna. And thankfully, Srila Prabhupada has given us so many beautiful opportunities to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. But I see there are devotees who are not full-time devotees who are working outside. It is very difficult for them to keep up their Krishna consciousness. You ask them, they will tell you. They are surrounded by so many alluring, illusory things. In spite of that, they should not be attracted to them. It's very difficult. So, most of the Vedic literature, as Narada Muni was speaking, they are Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna, Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasto, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Most of the Vedic literature are dealing with only three modes of material nature. They are dealing with how to improve the status of life, and then if you are frustrated with dharma, artha, kama, then you look for moksha. But there is no dedicated literature which discusses the Panchama Purushartha called prema. Most of the discussion is about dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So that is why you are not satisfied, my dear Vyasa. You have not dedicated one literature which simply glorifies the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. What is the use of describing the so-called glories of great people of this world? Their activities. We have history books, so many history books. So-and-so person has come, he has done so-and-so things. But then where is he? Where has he gone? Nobody knows. Prabhupada, recently, not recently, but 1.5 years ago, our very dear Ambarish Prabhu came to our temple. He came to attract some enthusiastic devotees who can donate for the Temple of Vedic Planetarium project. So he was talking to us. The first time when he met Prabhupada looked at him, because some people have already told about Ambarish Prabhu to him. He's Alfred Ford, right? His name was. So Prabhupada looked at him into his eyes and said, "So you are the grandson of the great Henry Ford. So where is he now?" He said. That one word, where is he now? He said that one word went so deep into my heart that no matter how great you are temporary in this world. Your existence, your history, your activities, everything just gets washed away in the wave of time. The great Socrates, the great Aristotle, the great Lenins and the great Stalins of this world, they have been swept away by the time. Their huge, big statues in Russia, they have become burdened and they have been demolished and then pushed aside to the corner and not knowing how to deal with these statues. This is the so-called fame and name of any great person of this world. They come, appear on the dais for some time, and they just go away, and then people completely forget about that person. So what is the use of the glories of such personalities and their activities? On the contrary, the glory of the Supreme Lord is eternal. He has eternal glory. So you have not described those glories. You have described only this. And today, even the glories of even great personalities, so-called great personality of this world are also not being discussed. Everything that is being discussed is very cheap, mundane activities of so-called heroes and heroines. A cheap sex is being portrayed, cheap infighting is portrayed in the films, and so many literature are selling very well if there is enough sex and violence in those literature. That is what is most attractive for the people today. That sells most. These things are sells most. Which Narada Muni is describing them as Vayasatirthas. Vayasatirtha means the pilgrimage of the crows. Where will the crows go? Wherever there is forsaken food, the food which is not used for eating, which is thrown away because it has become, pale. So that is where these crows will go and then, crawl. And the Hamsas, they do not even look at those places. They go to places where there is scenic beauty is there, where pure water is there. That is where the Hamsas go. Like Manas Sarovar. Manas Sarovar is in Himalayas. You will not find crows there. You will find Hamsas there. So similarly, what we are attracted by is what we are. A man is known by his association, they say. So what are we attracted by? We are attracted by the movies, sports, political news, business news, so many of these things are there. And they sell very, very well in this world. You go and give Srila Prabhupada book or Back to God magazine of some of these things, people say we don't have time. They have time to read all this dirty literature. Why is the Tirthas? But they don't have time to read one little paragraph from Srila Prabhupada books. That is the condition of the people today. It is the age of quarrel. So, Narada Muni is saying that even Vedic literature you have written something like that. It's just an extension of sense gratification. Even Vedic literature, if you have not glorified the Supreme Lord well, even if you have described Naishkarmyam, and Naishkarmyam means Nishkama karma is called Naishkarmyam, non-fruitive activity. Generally we do so many activities expecting some fruit. It's very difficult to find a man who does not do with motivation. Selfless people are very rare in this world. Very rare. Either there is gross selfishness or extended selfishness. That's all that you find in this world. Everybody is selfless till their selfishness is exposed. Isn't it? At one point of the time, this selfishness will be exposed anyway. because it's not actually there. So, very rare to find people who are selfless. But even if there are people who are like that, they don't find happiness in this world. They go to places where there is isolation. They don't want to mingle with these people. So they go to Himalayas and they try to meditate. And if you see their activities is that they don't speak much with anybody. They read either scripture, do some meditation, eat very little. That is how their whole life is. But Narada is saying, what is the use of such activities if it is apyachyuta bhava varjitam, achyuta bhava varjitam? Through all of this, if you are not able to develop love for Krishna, bhava for Krishna, what is the use of all of this? Naishkarmyam apyachyuta bhava varjitam. So, and even this state of isolation comes after many, many, many years of renunciation. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya is describing to Rupa Goswami the rarity of devotional service. First of all, he says that there are so many living entities in each universe, and these living entities are categorized as three types. Two types, first of all. One is called Stavara, another is Jangama. Stavara means static. Jangama means moving. And amongst this Stavara and Jangama, the Jangama are considered as better. And amongst the Jangama, there are living entities who are on earth, on sky, and on water. Three categories. And amongst these three categories of living entities, human beings are considered very rare species. And in human beings, the people who accept Vedic literature are very, very rare species. And in those who accept Vedic literature, people who actually follow Vedic literature, don't simply give lectures, are very rare. He says that, I am not exaggerating, he says that. People who are just simply speaking, there are many people who speak, but people who follow are very rare. And amongst those who are following, people who are actually wanting the goal of getting evicted from this world are very rare. There are many people who are interested in knowledge. Koti jnani madhye eka mukta shreshtaha. Amongst the Koti jnanis, eka mukta shreshtaha. Mukta means the one who wants to get out of this material world. Is shreshtaha. And Koti mukti madhye Krishna bhakta shreshtaha. Eka bhakta, eka Krishna bhakta shreshtaha. Amongst these muktas means those who are wanting liberation from this material world, very rarely you will find one devotee of Krishna. Bhaunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabhaha. Or Manushyanam sahasreshu kashid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kashin mam veti tattvataha. Hardly you will find one devotee. So we should not immediately conclude that all of us are devotees. We are trying to become a devotee, but the position of a devotee is very exalted, very, very exalted. They are very rare. Devotees are very, very rare. And those devotees are called Hamsas. Why? Because they are not interested in anything material. They do not take any pleasure in the mundane activities because they are fully realized that these mundane activities are transient by nature, painful in the beginning and painful at the end. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya yavate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddhaha. Ramante yoginamante satyanande chidatmane. They are interested in transcendental pleasure. They are not interested in material pleasure. We are so much interested in material pleasure. Only chance has to be given to us. That's all. Then our real nature will come out. By some discipline, by some strong principles given by acharyas, we are holding on. But once that breaks out, You see, sometimes what happens, your authority do some mistake, your guru is fallen, let us say. It happened in our ISKCON also many times. That's enough for us to simply break out for sense gratification. My guru only has fallen down. How can you ask me to be nice? So he always looks for some mistake in the superior so that he qualifies his own nonsense. That is the mentality. That is what is our mentality. So these are not called hamsas. Hamsas have nothing to do with these material activities. They are completely immersed in glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So those people are called devotees. They are very, very rare. They are very rare. So he is saying, now what have you given for them? What subject matter have you given for them? You have given subject matter for all these classes of people. But where is the subject matter for this class of people? Or in other words, to say in a simple language, you have constructed a multi-story building. You have not put lift. You have constructed a multi-story building, but you have not put a lift. That means you are forcing everyone to go through step by step by step. There may be some class of people who may want to go to the top without going through step by step. Where is the lift for them? You see, this is more appealing to us because we are in a modern scenario. So that lift process is called process of devotional service, bhakti. A devotee who wants to reach Krishna may not want to go through all this karma, jnana, yoga, all this. He wants to go directly without much effort. In the lift you don't have to put any effort. You just have to press the button, the doors are open, and then you go inside. You don't have to close the doors also, they get closed. You just have to wait. You don't have to push the button also. The last floor it will go without even pressing. And then it gets open automatically, get out. The only problem is the lift is locked. The key of the lift is with the devotee of Krishna. Alright? So if you want to go to that process, to the topmost position of being a bhakta, you have to become a subservient to a devotee of Krishna who will open the lift. And then you go inside, everything is fine. So he's saying, Narada Muni is saying, where is such subject matter for discussion? Matchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantasya mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Where is such a subject matter? The Paramahamsas discuss only transcendental subject matters. They don't actually take part in these mundane activities. So you have not given them subject matter. You see how fortunate we are. We may join the temple, we may worship the deity, we may do so many things, but unless we have a transcendental subject matter to discuss, our hearts will not be satisfied. So that is why Prabhupada always told, morning Bhagavatam, evening Bhagavad Gita, two transcendental subject matters for all the people to beef up the intelligence or to improve the intelligence of the people. So that is why we must have very active, deep discussions on the subject matter, Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, which actually convinces you, takes your conviction to a higher standard, and then you will be able to do devotional service very, very happily. So we should have very nice Bhagavatam classes, Bhagavad Gita classes, but if Bhagavatam itself is not there, Bhagavad Gita itself is not there, what classes will you have? आज कितना कलेक्ट किया, आज कितना बुक्स डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हुआ, these things only will matter, isn't it? In temples also, there is a tradition of going to the deity and then reading out all the expenditure and the income of the day. But we don't do that. We actually, every day morning, we say to the deities that these many transcendental literature are distributed. That is what we say. But if that literature itself is not there, if Vyasadeva has not written this literature, what discussions we would be having? Imagine. Even if you have given up the material subject matter, what subject matter will you discuss? So that is why Narada Muni is saying that you write such literature which attracts the Hamsas. And as soon as he said that, he wrote this Srimad Bhagavatam. The second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam itself says, what is the purpose of this literature? Dhammo projita kaitavatra nirmatsaranam satam. That this simply is not dealing with projita, kaitava dharma. Kaitava dharma means a cheating religion. Cheating religion means which deals with dharma, artha, kama, even moksha also. This is cheating religion. So Bhagavatam is actually giving us Panchama Purushartha. That is Prema Pumartho Mahan. Time is short. We can discuss a lot, but there are other things. Any questions anybody has? I know there is a kirtan after this. Maybe we can take 5 minutes questions. If you have any questions or comments, anybody has any questions or comments on what we have discussed so far? Yes, Prabhu.
Very nice that you have mentioned that the elevator being made without a lifted sort of thing. My question is here, Prabhu. Like he is with the Krishna's devotee. So how much I have to plead for that? How much time I get to that, or I start taking steps? So can you?
How much time?
I have to wait. I don't know whether I'm able to get the lift open for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's quite simple. Devotees are not very complicated people. Devotees are very simple people. They are called alpasantoshis. Alpasantoshis means they get easily pleased. What they are pleased by is our little selfless service. Little selfless service if you do and attract the attention of a devotee, the lift is open. What they don't like is deception. Deception means, you're trying to do, but there is a motivation behind which you are not saying it, but the devotee know it. That devotees do not feel happy. You want to please a devotee, simply serve him with love, affection, without any motivation. That's all. You don't even have to serve him. You have to serve Krishna. With this attitude, devotee immediately opens the lift. Go inside, he will say. It is that simple, actually speaking. So what is complicated is, to remove our deceptive mentality is very complicated. We try to portray ourselves as very nice people, but actually inside there is so much garbage is there. That is very difficult. So we try to hide that garbage with so many coverings, paintings. That has to be given up. How Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he approached by Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, just observe what is their approach and how Lord Chaitanya reciprocated. Sir, so many people come and tell us that we are very great, learned people. They respect us. We also think that they are true. But we are so foolish that we do not know who we are. Kindly accept us. So when these words were spoken by Rupa and Sanatana, Lord Chaitanya's response was, please don't break my heart with humility, with your humility. One who has advocated humility is saying, don't break my heart with humility. Means these words are so genuine, the Lord Chaitanya was so inspired by these words. Similarly, what touches the other person is our genuinity, our innocence, our acceptance of our foolish and ignorant position is what actually opens up the doors for the mercy to flow. So to be like that, one has to be a very sincere person. To say in front of everyone that I am a foolish man is not easy. You see the difference between Duryodhana and Arjuna. Arjuna, when he went to Krishna, he very clearly opened his heart and said in front of everyone that, my hands are shaking, my body is, running high temperature, my Gandiva is, becoming like this. So he expressed his heart openly in front of everyone. Whereas Duryodhana went in a very deceptive mood. He is very calculative. Whom to first go, what to say, if I say this, what this person will feel. So many calculations are going on in the mind of Duryodhana. So that is why he could not attract the mercy of the Lord. So similarly, when we approach devotees, we should approach with all humility. Prabhu, I am lost in this world, but by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, I read some books and I understood the purpose of life, but I need practical guidance. Kindly please accept me. That's sufficient. Door is open. Yes. Generally, we have tendency to read.
Give up that, we'll lose taste in reading consistently every day. What to do to be again in the track?
I can give two suggestions. Attentively hear Bhagavatam class and go to Bhagavatam after the class. Read a section before and after. Number one. Hear Bhagavatam class first and go before and after that particular verse, few verses before and few verses after. And see through the vision of the Bhagavatam class. Number one. I'm not saying in sequence. I'm saying, these are randomly I'm saying. Number two, sit with a devotee who has interest in reading Srimad Bhagavatam and study Bhagavatam with him. Individually you approach Bhagavatam, you will feel sleepy. We will not have, even though we are very sincere, we try to open a Bhagavatam, try to read, make a strong determination, still we won't be able to read for a long. But if we sit with another sincere devotee, and if you read, it is very inspiring. Either one or two, sit with them. Make a habit of reading Srimad Bhagavatam, discussing, not just reading. You read, express your heart, hear their heart. That will simply give so much of happiness. These two I can think of immediately. Okay? All right. Who?
He has a selfless heart. And when he grows, he serves the people with a selfless heart only, with a devotion to the God and spiritual and everything. And when he goes to the person, as a person, adolescence or 30, 35 years of age, whatever it is, then he undergoes a lot of pains and hardships and everything. Then he thinks that he loses interest. What I was doing, but I am getting the negative results. But he never loses the devotion towards the God. So these pains, sufferings and everything, is it a karma or his wrongdoings or he is not doing right?
Firstly, you said child has a selfless heart. Child's selfishness is not manifested. It's not that child is selfless. All the bad qualities are not manifested. None of us are very, a child is innocent, but a child is ignorant. So as he grows, he gets more and more exposed to this world. then he acquires all his bad qualities manifest one after the other. Bad qualities means general bad qualities. There are good qualities are also there. So, everybody goes through this journey based on his previous karmic reactions only. There is nothing else which is guiding. Only previous karmic reactions which we do not know. What all we have done we do not know. So, whenever a particular reaction is coming, then suddenly some good things may happen and some bad things may happen. You can't even predict what is right there in front of you. So, the solution to this problem is that khatam karo. Good activities, good account khatam karo, bad account khatam karo. Both are problematic only. And both will not stay for a long time. They are transient in nature. Transient means stays for some time. Next one comes up. That stays for some time. Next one comes up. So the solution is given by scripture is that don't be bothered by this so-called happiness and distress of this world. Act in such a way that you are aloof from this. Just like how one should act, the example is given by Acharya. You go to a cashier in a bank. The cashier, when cash is deposited, he doesn't get elated. Oh, so much money is coming. Or somebody withdraws money, he doesn't get disappointed. Oh, so much money is going. Because he knows that this money doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the bank. Similarly, when we do activities for the sake of the Lord, we don't get disappointed. Either good or bad, it belongs to Krishna. So when we do for the pleasure of Krishna, for the service of Krishna, when we do all our activities, then this so-called good and bad will not touch us. And that is what is called Krishna Bhavanamrita or Krishna Consciousness. Doing everything for Krishna, not self-consciousness. Self-consciousness means doing everything for what is beneficial for me, what is good for me, what is auspicious for me. This is called selfish consciousness. So we have to move away from this selfish consciousness to Krishna consciousness, then no karmic reactions will touch us. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your wonderful class. I have a small question that was
lingering in your mind.
Lingering in my mind. We say that Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsarana. So there, Kaitava word in Sanskrit, how we understand exactly, like breaking the word and then understand the meaning?
Kaitava means, Prabhupada translates it as cheating religion. Cheating religion means which does not give you your original position. What is our original position? Our original position of the jiva is to be ecstatic. Prabhupada very clearly writes, a living entity does not want peace. A living entity wants ecstasy. He doesn't want peace. Peace is a lower stage. Ecstasy is the highest stage. Anandamayo bhyasat. So any dharma which deprives us from that position of being ecstatic is called Kaitava dharma. No matter how wonderful it is described. Like, for example, if you merge into the Brahman, we may be peaceful, but we are not ecstatic. But if you are in Krishna consciousness, just like the morning you all danced, it was an ecstatic dance. Any of you are thinking how much loudly you should chant, how much jumping you should do? Any of you are thinking like that? None of you are thinking. You're just out of your world, you're just happily chanting and dancing. That is called ecstasy. So that is the natural position of the jiva. We all deserve to be like that. But today we are burdened with so many useless thoughts, hanging our head like this. You touch him, upadrutaha, upadrutaha, upadrutaha will come. Upadruta means what? Complaints. Prabhu, he will start. He start his crying. Prabhu, like that. Isn't it? But somehow by Krishna's mercy, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, at least in the kirtan, that Prabhu will not come. Isn't it? But that is the state of existence for us all the time. We should be like that. So it is called Kaitava Dharma if any process which does not put you in that state is called Kaitava Dharma. Even Mukti doesn't put us in that state. But Bhakti puts us in that state. That is why he used the word called Kaitava Dharma, cheating religion.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu. So I have a question like clarification type of thing. So in this section we see Narada Muni is instructing to Vyasa after Vyasa having completely described all the Vedas. So somewhere it is described that willingly you have not glorified Krishna's name, form, pastimes. So Vyasadeva is a great personality.
How could he do that?
How could he do that? Seemingly does not seem even like, just for the sake of pastime, like, Narada Muni should come and correct me so that I can,
That doesn't seem
doesn't seem convincing. So what can be a very convincing answer for this? Because he is a very, very great personality, Vyasa. He would not willingly come to a situation where he will feel like that.
Yeah, very beautiful question. Nice question. See, we are all representing Vyasa in some sense in our preaching activities. In our preaching activity, what we do, we are overburdened by the other person's difficulties and try to offer him what is soothing to him than what is good for him. That is what Vyasadeva has done, essentially. You understood what Vyasadeva has done is that he is too much thinking about the living entities' difficulties, because all their difficulties are what? In terms of body and mind. So he is addressing their bodily and mental difficulties. He is not actually giving them the actual medicine by which they will be completely out of these difficulties. Similarly, when somebody comes with a great distress, what do we suggest? Don't worry, you do this stopgap arrangement, stopgap solutions we give. You see, all our stopgap solutions are in name of practicality. Isn't it? Am I right? All of you agree? All our stopgap solutions are in the name of practicality. And what we are afraid? We are afraid if I tell him pure devotional service, he will run away. Acha? How do you know whether he will run away or not till you tell him? Why are you presuming that this person will run away if I tell him pure devotional service? Maybe he is running away because you are not telling him pure devotional service. That is also speculation. Possible, no? Am I right? Isn't it that the possibility? That is also possibility. But at least you will have a satisfaction of saying pure devotional method and then still he runs away. You will at least say, I did my best, now it is rest is his. But if that person, you tell him that, the stopgap arrangement and still not tell him that pure devotional method, then we are depriving him. Later on, he will get used to this kind of a pampering or, peppermint business. And then, what happens? When you actually tell him pure devotional service, he will be bewildered. Pehle bataya nahi, kyun? Why you didn't tell him? So that is why you see Prabhupada's method was, first day on the board, anybody who wants to be a member of International Society for Krishna Consciousness must understand they should follow 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Every day they should chant 16 rounds. People were, they lost their mind when they saw this. They came to Swamiji, are you gone crazy, Swamiji? This is the Janma Bhumi of these 4 regulative principles, So, and you are writing this, and you know what is Prabhupada's answer? It's an astonishing answer he gave. When the whole village is illiterate, should I open more number of schools in every gully or should I close the schools? He asked this question. And what is the answer? When people are illiterate, should we open more number of schools or close already the existing schools? Open more number of schools. It is that Bata Shoe Company man was sent to African country And then he came back and said that, in this country everybody is an aborigine. Nobody wears shoes. So there is no scope for expansion in Africa. He came back. So the Bata Shoe company management sent another man. He went and he surveyed in Africa. He said, nobody wears shoes there. So we should open any number of stores so that everybody is a possible customer for us to wear the shoe. Just see the outlook. This is the outlook that Srila Prabhupada has presented to us. We should not shy away in the name of practicality to not speak pure devotional method. Maybe one person who may be attracted, and that one person can do substantial work like how Srila Prabhupada has done. When Prabhupada was approaching Bhaktisiddhanta first day, when he walked onto the satsang, Bhaktisiddhanta was speaking about pure devotional service. Prabhupada approached him after the class was over. He went inside and said, Swamiji, who will take your message of Vaishnavism when the country is so much disturbed by being ruled by the others, Britishers. Independence is such an important thing. And Bhaktisiddhanta's words mark these words. He said, Krishna consciousness is so urgent and important that it cannot wait for any social change of this world. These are the words that Bhaktisiddhanta said, which were etched in the heart of Srila Prabhupada. So, many times you also heard, many times I said, pure devotional service is very far. We are here. You may say, when we are here, we should bridge the gap, na? Should we bridge the gap or should they bridge the gap? Who should bridge the gap? The people who are on the other side should bridge the gap. Because they are already there, so they bridge the gap, then you can go. If you bridge the gap, what happens? Somewhere in between, there is a gap. You will fall down from there. So the bridge solution should not be given by us, mundane people like us who are not pure devotees. The bridge gap solution should be given by pure devotees. And you always see, remember this, they don't start with lowest standard, they start with highest standard first. When Krishna said, if you cannot do this, do this. If you cannot do this, do this. If you cannot do this, do this. He didn't say Arohana Krama. He gave Avarohana Krama. Similarly, the pure devotees never give you this stopgap arrangements. They give start from there. If it is not possible, come here. If it is not possible, come here. Always the proposal must be the topmost solution. So that is exactly what Narada Muni did through emphasizing this Bhagavatam. That's what he did. Does it make some sense? All right, we should have some kirtan, isn't it? 10 minutes? 5 to 9. Thank you all very much for tolerating me for more than 1.5 hours. Sorry if I have offended anyone, because I don't know you much. Without knowing the audience, speaking is a very risky thing, by the way. My solace is Srivas Ras Bihari, because he is conversant with my classes. So even if there is any disturbance done, he will make sure that the disturbance is removed. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,